Photo Studio is an application that allows you to import high-resolution digital photographs and make adjustments to them, such as color adjustments, image processing, cropping, and animations such as zooms and pans and scans. Photo Studio requires you to have Smart Edit 3.6D or 4.0 and up. It also requires you to have 256 megabytes of RAM. Once you've installed Photo Studio, you can locate it under the Special menu in the Edit window. Just go down and find Photo Studio and click on Start Photo Studio. The first thing you'll want to do in Photo Studio is import some images into your system. So the first thing we're going to do is import photos from our Photo Smart Media card. And we can click on Import to do that. It's scanning the Smart Media card right now to see what images are on there. You can use the default Smart Media slot that's on the front of the machine, or if you have a photo card reader, such as the 6-in-1 or the 8-in-1 or the 12-in-1, you can click on Memory Card here and select a different drive. But I'm going to use the internal Smart Media card drive. This shows me all the photographs that are on the card. If I want to see a larger version of one of these thumbnails, I can click on Preview, and it'll load up a larger version of it. On a VGA monitor, this would be even larger. I can also see information on any of the images by clicking on them and clicking on Info, and it'll tell me what type of camera it came from, the resolution. If your camera records a date and time, it'll mark that as well. I can also use the marks here to choose several images at once. So if I know I want to import many images, I can select several of them with the Mark Selected Image, and then get those images all at the same time instead of having to do them one at a time. I think I'll do that now. Now that I've gotten those images, they should appear on our hard drive. So let's exit the import screen and go over to one of our edit screens. I'll start with Format. This shows me the images that I've imported off of the card. There are a bunch of things I can do right here, such as crop the images. I can go in and choose a particular area that I want to work with. And then that would be the only part of the image that shows up when I work with this elsewhere. If I click on Zoom, it'll show me a lot more precisely where I'm putting my crop points. And now that image has been cropped in my thumbnail and wherever else I go to work on it. You can also rotate images here. I know a lot of times people will take pictures in a portrait style, and you'll need to rotate those 90 degrees in either direction. And you can do that here. If I had a bunch of images that needed rotating, I could mark them all and rotate them all at one time to save myself some time. So now I'll just get these images back to where they were before we move on. I can also use this to make copies of photographs. If I had a particular image that I wanted to choose two different portions of, I could do that. I could make a copy of it and then maybe crop this one to a certain area and crop this one to a different area. You can also delete images that you know you're not going to use. So let me exit back to the main menu now. The next thing we can do is take a look at image processing, and this will be your color effects and some other really neat stuff. So this image here, let's take a look at. If I hop into Control Image, it'll show me a larger version of it. And I can make adjustments here, like I can make it brighter, I can adjust the contrast, saturation, and I can adjust RGB levels. I know this picture is a little red, so I can make some adjustments to that, maybe boost the other colors a little bit. And there's also an adjustment for gamma. If I know that these settings are something I'm going to use a lot, like if I've taken a bunch of pictures in a low light and I know I want to adjust the brightness and the contrast on all of them, once I've set these, I can go into the archives and actually save these settings and then load them again for the next picture so I don't have to go through and make all those changes again. The There's also a really neat feature built into here called Retouch. And I'm going to hop in there right now, like on this photo right here. And we had a picture of all of our pumpkins, and this dog wandered into the shot. But I'm going to show you what I can do about that with the Retouch tool. First, it's going to ask me to select the area. So I'll select this area right by the dog here. And now it's got a tool here called Clone. And Clone is kind of like a rubber stamp that you would see in Photoshop. First, I'll choose a bigger brush, and I can make adjustments to the size of the brush and the size of the blur surrounding it, but I'll leave that there. And now it's going to ask me, I want to clone an area. So let's see. I'll click here, and I'll choose somewhere up here in the grass. And now it's got the red circle, so now wherever I click, it's going to copy that cloned area down into the picture. And you can see even with something as complex as grass here, it's really kind of making it match right up. Now there I reached the edge of the picture, but we can go back and choose a new area and replace that as well. So now I click to accept it, and now I can go back and start drawing again from the same spot. And as you can see, I'm pretty much erasing this dog from the picture. And that's what the clone tool will do for you. I'm not going to do the whole thing right now, but let's take a look at how that worked. I'll save this image. And exit. And we could take a look at it in the preview here. And you can see when we look at the full image, it's really hard to tell where that dog was. So that's a real neat tool to have. So let's exit back to the main menu and take a look at animation. Now this is one of the neatest features of this software. Animation is kind of doing the Ken Burns effect, you know, famous from Ken Burns documentaries, where he took still photographs and really made them interesting in a video sense by doing pans and zooms on the images to tell a story. So I'll do a real basic one here. And I'll start out. This is the starting icon right here. It's going from left to right there, that arrow. And we'll just choose what part of the image we want to look at. I'll take a look at the whole image pretty much. And then we know we're going to be zooming in on the person featured here. So we can see it's going to start with the big one, and it's going to zoom in to there. We can take a look at what that's going to look like. And as you can see, it really is a heck of a lot more interesting than just looking at a still image. It draws you right in. There's some settings that we can do for each point here. A pause at the beginning. I'll remove that. There's a pause we can put at the end. Total length of the move. I'll bring that down a little bit. And there's also accelerate and slow down, and this is kind of neat. So instead of just kind of, you know, immediately being moving and immediately stopping, we can set it, you know, as if we had our hand right on the zoom button of your camera. So it's going to slowly start to zoom faster, and then it's going to slowly pull back out. And there's 3 different speeds for that. So let's take a look at what that looks like with a slow acceleration on it. So speeding up, and then slowly it comes to a stop and pauses there for 2 seconds. So it's pretty versatile. This was just a simple 2 keyframe move, but we can put in more keyframes if we want and really have the camera move around. So this time it'll zoom in on her and then slide off to the side. And again, for each keyframe, we can then set how long the move is and how long the pause will be and what kind of acceleration we want. Okay, so let's go take a look at another image and a different type of motion we can put on it. And I'll select this shot of the ball game here. Now I'm going to do multiple moves on this. Let's see. The first one is going to be sort of a wide shot of these 3 people down here. And then my next move, I'm going to zoom in on them a little bit. And then I'm going to create another point that zooms up and focuses on this person here. And we'll adjust the settings for this. So at the beginning, I don't want any pause on the in. I'm going to have a medium fade, and it's going to move for about 5 seconds here. I'll slow down medium, and it's going to pause on the outside for, let's call it 1.5 seconds. All right. And then for the last part of the move, it's going to move a lot faster. And, whoops, we already had that as our pause on the way in. And it'll be a fast acceleration. And we'll pause out for 2 seconds. So let's take a look at this. And now we can really see we're starting to tell a story here. As 3 friends went to the ball game to enjoy themselves. And little did they know they were sitting next to the famous Poughkeepsie Killer. You know, you can really start to tell a story with just a still photograph. So that's kind of fun to play around with. When I'm done making my animation, I click on Create, and it'll render that out to the storyboard. Because we're working with high-resolution images, the render times on this can be a little bit longer than they would be if you were working with just a piece of video, because there are so many more pixels to deal with. Obviously, a Solitaire will render these a heck of a lot faster than the Avio or the Prestige. All right, now let's get back to the main Photo Studio menu with this little button down here. So the next section that we can go to is Collage, and this is kind of neat. It's something we haven't been able to do before. With Collage, I can set up multiple images on top of a background. So let's see, I'm going to set my background color to be sort of a muted blue here. I can use any of my preset colors, or I can just choose one here. All right, so I've got a nice background to work with here. And I can start placing images anywhere I want. I'll take this one and put it full screen. And now that's a nice background to work with. I can take another image and place it on top of that. And now that it's dropped that there, I can do some stuff to it. I can edit this image and put a border on it. And you have the control of that to the 1/10 of a millimeter. So I'll put a border with a little bit of a blur on it. Okay. I'm also going to put a shadow on it. Kind of a drop shadow that drops down. You can also rotate the image freely. And now I'm just rolling the trackball to rotate this to whatever angle I want. Just something that we've had no experience with before, but it looks really neat in this context. I'm pretty happy with the way that looks. I'm going to take and I'm going to place another image on here as well. Maybe the crowd. We'll pretend they're at the concert here. We could drop them down here. And I'll also edit this one to give it a border and a shadow. And I'll rotate this one the other way. So you can see now I'm starting to create a really neat image from our high resolution stuff here. Last one. Real quick.
I'll edit the audio here. You might mention that those are free scalable and positionable.
Mm-hmm.
Let them know.
All of these images are freely scalable and positionable. They don't have to be a perfect rectangle. You can shape them to whatever you'd like them to be and put them anywhere on the screen here. So now that I've created kind of a nice looking collage of images, I can take and create that, render it out to my storyboard with any length I like. And now I can use this as a title background or a DVD background or anything I can think of. There's really no limit when you start combining our tools together. If you have one of our Caladan printers hooked up, you can just print this directly out to your printer in high resolution. The last thing we've got is Slideshow. And Slideshow is basically the last thing that you would ever need to do with these. We've taken images and we've done animations on them. We've created collages out of them. If you don't want to do either of those things, but you just want to take your color-corrected and cropped and rotated image and render it out to the storyboard, this is a real simple way to do that. and you can do it for multiple images at once. So we've corrected all these images. I can take them and click on Insert and choose, do I want a white border, or do I want a black border, or do I want to crop it or scale it so it fits the screen? I'm just going to put a nice black border at the top and bottom because it's not perfectly video sized. And I can set the length for that. And create a little mini storyboard out of my pictures here. And then render that out to my storyboard in the edit window. So it's just a nice way to get images that you don't want to do an animation or collage with and put them out in the storyboard as a video clip. And you can choose to either create a separate scene for each image or render them all out to one clip combined. One important note about Photo Studio is that images can come in from any type of photo media card. Smart media cards, XD, SD, compact flash, those are all acceptable images and they come in as high resolution. There really is no way to bring in video stills or anything from your storyboard into Photo Studio because those are video resolution, which is only about 640 by 480, which is maybe 1/10 of the size of a high resolution image. So once it comes into Photo Studio, there's no way to use any of the zoom in or crop tools without even further reducing the resolution, leaving you with a really ugly looking picture. So you really just want to work with high resolution images. If you want to work with a video still, there are ways to do that in the storyboard and you wouldn't use Photo Studio for that. So now we exit out to our storyboard here and it's going to render out our scenes, and we've got our collage that we created. And it's also got our 3 clips that we rendered out of the slideshow. So as you can see, Photo Studio is a really useful program, and it's one of the most popular programs among our customers. Almost everyone wants to do photo montages, and this is a really easy way to import them, make the changes you need, and add them to your storyboard without any external applications or anything like that. So Photo Studio, check it out. You can do a demo of it. It's on our software CD, and you can go ahead and download that and give it a shot.